Om. नमः। ओम श्री सरस्वत्यै नमः। ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं भगवत्पाद शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम् शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम् सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। वेदान्त सिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरम् गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। हरि ओम। Shankaracharya says, vichara, inquiry alone gives knowledge, and that knowledge alone gives freedom, and therefore inquiry is the only means to liberation, moksha. To illustrate this example, this point, he gave the well-known example in the 12th verse, the famous verse, oft-repeated verse of the rope and the snake. Samyak vicharatah siddharachyutatva avadharana भ्रांत्योदिता महासर्प भय दुःख विनाशिनी. A very clear knowledge of the rope will destroy the fear that is born out of the mistaken perception of a snake. And how can you get that knowledge of that rope? That can be gained only through throwing some light on that rope so that you can see the rope very clearly. That rope which you imagine a snake, you should be able to see it clearly as a rope. It will go away, the fear will go away, everything. In the same way, the samsara bhaya, if it were to go away, this atma jnanam, the knowledge of the self, should come. And for that, vichara is a must, inquiry into the nature of the self. So same idea was reinforced in the 13th verse also. Artasya nishchayo drishtaha vichareణ hitotitah न स्नानेन न दानेन pranayama shatena va. So by saying no means other than inquiry into the truth, other means such as pilgrimage to the holy rivers, charity, pranayama, etc., no other means will be effective. Shankaracharya made one thing very clear, again in the 14th verse. Adhikarinam ashaste phalasiddhir visheshatah upaya deshakaladhyah santi asmin sahakarinah. The success depends primarily on the qualification of the student. The other things are sahakari. They contribute. But the qualifications of the student are most important. So do not waste any more time. Ataha vicharaha kartavyah. You must do the inquiry. In the 15th verse, let us read. Ato vicharah kartavyah. Ato vicharah kartavyah. जिज्ञासोरात्मवस्तुनः जिज्ञासोरात्मवस्तुनः समासाद्य दया सिन्धुं समासाद्य दया सिन्धुं गुरुं ब्रह्मविदुत्तमम् गुरुं ब्रह्मविदुत्तमम् अतो विचारः कर्तव्यः जिज्ञासोरात्मवस्तुनः समासाद्य दया सिन्धुं गुरुं ब्रह्मविदुत्तमम्. In the 13th verse, Bhashyakara had said, Vichara, inquiry alone gives knowledge. And Ataha vicharaha kartavyah. Therefore, one should do inquiry. What is this inquiry? We have seen it many times, many texts. For example, in the Upadesha Sara, it was said, Manasam tu kim margane krute naiva manasam marga arjavat ahamayam kuto bhavati chinvatah Aipatatyaham nija vicharanam. So Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi always stressed the importance of self-inquiry. That Shastra Vichara should be done hitoktitah under the guidance of a Guru. The Guru is a well-wisher. He wishes the best for the student. He is a guide. He is the guiding light. So it should be done under the guidance of a teacher. And the vichara should be done by a jignasu. Jignasu, a desirer of knowledge. What knowledge? Atma vastunah. One who seeks to know the nature of the self. Here the word vastu means reality, the truth. So if a person has a strong commitment to seek self-knowledge, he must be a very mature person. That means he must have clearly understood that ignorance of the self is the very root cause of all problems. Problems, emotional problem, mental, psychological. The problem is you. Therefore, the solution Has to be you only. The self-identity, what you think you are, that is wrong. And that is the root cause of all mental problems. Here we are not talking about physical problems. Physical ailments will be there. The body is subject to all that. We are not talking about that. And they can be taken care of also. For physical problems, you need to go to a doctor, do whatever he says. So, whatever treatment it is, you have to take that. Then that problem will be solved. But most of other problems are the mental problems that we go through in the mind. Even the physical problem, what we worry about that is more difficult. So Vedanta does not deal with physical problems, primarily deals with the inner problems only. Therefore, here is a mature student. He has examined the life. He has diagnosed his problem to be one of not knowing his true identity, of the self identity. That alone is the problem. He has figured it out. And for such a person, such a seeker, such a student, this Vedantic inquiry will appeal, will be meaningful for such a person. How should he do that inquiry? Once again, Shankaracharya stresses Gurum Samasadhya. So, that student, that seeker has to approach a guru. This is not a do it yourself project. Never make an independent inquiry. So, you need a guru. And how do we define a guru? Who is a guru? Grinati Atmatattvam Upadeshati iti Guruhu. He is the one to teach, to communicate, to impart knowledge. That is the meaning of the word Guru. Guru Gita is a beautiful text. It talks about the glory of the Guru. And Guru Gita defines Gukaro Andakaro Vai. Rukara Takah. Andakara Nivartitvat Guru iti abhidiyate. Gu means darkness. Ru means remover. So Guru is darkness remover. Darkness is ignorance. So Guru removes, destroys that ignorance. The one who does that is called a Guru. Simple definition, but very comprehensive definition. Now, what are the qualifications of this Guru? We're always talking about the qualifications of the Shishya. What about the Guru? Guru also should be qualified. So, two qualifications of the Guru are mentioned here. Brahmavid Uttamam. Brahmavid Uttamam. He is the greatest Brahmagyani. Brahmavid means knower of Brahman. He is a Brahmagyani. Then Uttamam. Uttamam means the greatest. Who is the greatest? That Uttama indicates Nishtha. He abides in the Brahmajnana. He not only has the knowledge, but he has abidance in that knowledge, in that truth. So he has attained the Pakvata. Knowledge is fully ripened by assimilating that knowledge. Therefore, he is established in Brahman. Brahmavid Uttamaha means Brahmajnana Nishtha. So, Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. This is said in Mundakopanishad. Shrotriyam Brahmanishtam. So, second qualification, Shrotriya, we saw, is one who has the scriptural method of communication. It's a unique method. See, Brahman, Atman, cannot be described, cannot be defined. And so the challenge for the teacher is to describe it, to define it in such a way that the student understands. So there is a very unique method that Vedanta adopts. The teacher must know, use the technique to impart that knowledge. So that is meant by the word Shrotriyam, good communicator. Pashakara will mention all this later. We will see that. Much more detailed discussion, qualification of the student as well as the teacher will be there. Here, he just introducing those ideas. He mentions another qualification. Dayas, he is an ocean of compassion. Ocean of compassion. Daya Sindhu. He is Daya Samudra Kripa Sagara. Karuna Sagara. It's an ocean of grace, kindness, compassion. He is free. He is established in this truth. He is liberated. His vision of the whole world is mithya. The samsara is mithya. He is soaked in that awareness. He knows the whole problem is mithya. So when he has to teach the student, he need not show that, because in the seeker's vision, the problem is a serious problem. He knows that the problem is false, but the student is coming to him, and the student's position, his thinking is that samsara is a great problem. Oh, I'm drowning in samsara. I want relief from that. Such a student comes and cries his heart out to the teacher. If the teacher just dismisses all those problems, why are you crying and weeping? Get out of here. All this samsara problem, it's nothing. You cannot talk like that. And if the teacher does that, what will the student do? This teacher, he doesn't understand. He does not understand what my problem is. So I will not waste any time, any of my time with this teacher. Let me go to another one who understands me. So the teacher, he knows these problems are unreal, mithya, but he cannot outright come out and say that. He has to take the student very seriously. Your problem, you suffering, I know what you mean. So slowly, he has to start the teaching. So he has to show a lot of compassion. Yes, he has to do some acting. He has to treat a non-existent problem as a serious problem, because that is where the student is standing. So he needs to have that kind of compassion for the student. So he has to be a Daya Sindhu. And such a teacher, a student should approach. Samasadhya means one should approach. How exactly to approach a guru? Bhashyakara himself will discuss very elaborately later. We will see that. First, he mentions some general qualifications which are required of a Ananta, a genuine seeker of this truth. Some general qualifications. What are they? Said in verse 16. Let us read. Medhavi Purusho Vidwan. Medhavi Purusho Vidwan. Uhapoha Vichakshanah. Uhapoha Vichakshanah. Adhikaryatmavidyayam. Adhikaryatmavidyayam. Uktalakshana-lakshitah. Uktalakshana-lakshitah. मेधावी पुरुषो विद्वान् ऊहापोहविचक्षणः अधिकार्यात्मविद्यायाम् उक्तलक्षणलक्षितः. The spiritual seeker, Purusha, Vidwan, huh? Should be a Vidwan? No, here Vidwan means to be able to think independently, intelligent enough to receive that knowledge, intelligent to assimilate the knowledge. Therefore, understanding of knowledge is involved. So, intelligence is required. Where only faith is involved, where only experience is involved, intelligence is not required that much. If I am going to prescribe some rituals to you, for example, how to do Shodasa Upachara Puja. The puja that we do, it involves 16 steps, Shodasha Upachara, to teach you. Okay? Not much intelligence is necessary. In fact, sometimes it is better you do not. Then you will question, why should I do that? Why not something else? Then there will be problems. So I'll give you some simple instructions. You take an idol, you fix the idol, and say this mantra, then you put the akshata, you wash the feet, you do the abhisheka, you do the alankara, you entertain, you clothe, drape, then feed, entertain, and finally bid him goodbye and ask him to come back. And if I had made any mistakes, ask for forgiveness. So all these various steps are there. You should not ask, why akshata, why not something else? Why this flower? Why this naivedyam? No, these are all matter of faith. Intelligence is not required. And 2 or 3 times you practice, you will become an expert in doing the puja. So not much intelligence is necessary. Similarly, where experience is required, I want to go through some experience. It can be an ordinary experience or extraordinary, mystical. So you go to a mystic guru. And he has to do something. Sometimes it is just touching you, magic of touch, and he transfers the mystical power to you. And the Shishya begins to have that mystical experience. Or he gives you a mantra diksha. With that mantra you chant, and you get that experience. Not much thinking is necessary. But when it comes to knowledge, totally different ballgame. It comes to Vedanta, Vedanta Vichara, Vedantic knowledge, it's a matter of knowing. And you must have a thorough knowledge. Doubt should not be there. Questions should not be there. So much of thinking is involved. So intelligence is important. A Vidwan is not a Brahmagyani. He's not a Jnani. We are only talking about an intelligent person. That's all. Therefore, this is the number one qualification. That is also generally, people don't like Vedanta. They have to do a lot of thinking. People generally don't want to think. They just want to do stuff. Tell me what to do, I will do. But Bhashikara says, I want people to think. Therefore, he uses the word Vidwan. Thinking people, rational people, intelligent people, logical people. Logical people should understand the limitations of logic also. For that, you need intellect. We will use logic to prove the limitation. Of Tarka Shastra. He uses Mimamsa Shastra to show the limitations of Mimamsa Shastra. We need to know grammar to understand the words, meaning of sentences, direct meaning, indirect meaning, Vachyartha, Lakshyartha, literal meaning, implied meaning, all that, so much thinking and understanding. Intelligence is required. So a seeker should be Vidwan. That is number one. And then Medhavi, the one who has Grahana Dharana Shakti, the power of perception, Grahana, grasping. And then whatever he grasps, understands, he should retain also. Retention is also important. One should have the capacity to grasp what the teacher is saying, and then he should retain that also. Even today in corporations, etc., the human resources, they have this problem. They have to recruit good talent and then retain them. Competition now is out there to poach them. So retention is also important. The whole teaching is in the form of analysis of scriptures. Whenever analysis is involved, I have to go back and forth. So what is the first statement? What is the last statement? How are they connected? How is the thought developed? Where such analysis is involved, memory is involved. We talk about sadhana chatushtaya, fourfold qualification. By the time I discuss the fourth qualification, the first qualification is forgotten. Huh? And what to do? It won't work. We meet once a week for this class. Okay. So the next week when you come back, you must remember what was said the previous week. If you don't, it will be a big problem. We have 581 verses in Vivek Chudamani. When will we get to 581? You listen to the first verse, you understand. You forget. Clean slate. So every class it will be the first verse only. Would that work? No. Whatever we study, we must remember, retain. This is called Medha Shakti. Medha, memory power. You know, when the brahmachari is initiated, Upanayanam is done. After that, he has to do two rituals regularly. Sandhya Vandanam and Samita Danam. The first mantra in Samhita Dhanam is Medhavi Bhuyasam. Let me become a Medhavi. May I have good memory power. So Vidwan, Medhavi. We talked about those two. Then Uha Poha Vichakshanaha. The one who is an expert in accepting and rejecting. Uha Poha. Knows what to accept and what to reject from the scriptures. Scriptures talk about so many things. So many things are talked about. And you should not get sidetracked by tangential issues, ideas. You must find out what is the essential teaching. It's like taking the sugar cane, you put it in the mouth, chew, take the juice, and then spit out the rest. You should have that capacity to keep what you need and discard what you don't. This is called uha. Uha means taking, apoha means rejecting. Example, we're studying Bhagavad Gita. We just started. We are in the first chapter, the Gita class. The first chapter contains a lot of details about the battlefield, about the armies, who is in the Pandava army, who is in the Kaurava army, all that. And that is about what we have covered so far. Okay. More to come. Later on, we will see how upset Arjuna was. He talked a lot. Finally, he surrendered. So, when we are studying the first chapter, the important takeaway is Arjuna's Vishada, not the details about, who the great soldiers were, the commanders in chief on both armies. Those are, peripheral things. Yeah, that's not the main point. Arjuna's dejection, Arjuna's problem. What is it that is highlighted there? His strong attachment. Because of that attachment, his sorrow and conflict. That is not only Arjuna's problem, it's a problem of everyone. That is a human problem. That is why we seek help. We cannot find an easy solution, so we go to a guru. And we have to approach a guru who is not a samsari. He is also going through problems. How can he guide us? So, guru with proper qualification. So understand all this, you need this uha poha. And for this, taking what is needed, rejecting what is not needed, we have two shastras. One is called Tarka Shastra, logic. The other is called Mimamsa Shastra, systematic analysis. So this Uha Poha Vichakshanaha means an expert in Tarka Mimamsa Shastras. Another way to look at it is Uha Poha means evaluating the pros and cons of choices offered. All this requires logical analysis. Therefore, a Medhavi, Vidwan, in Uha Poha Vichakshanaha, such a person is a fit person. Adhikari Atma Vidyayam. He is a fit person for Atma Vidya. So this is the general qualification. Overall, general qualification. Some more specific qualifications will also be said. So Shankaracharya says, Ukta Lakshana Lakshitaha. He should also be endowed with some more Lakshana, qualifications, characteristics. Uktaha, which were already said in verses 8 through 15. Lakshitaha were indicated. We have not completely discussed them, they were indicated. We have not talked about it in detail. I have not called them Viveka, Vairagya, and so on and so on. I have not described all of them fully. They will be discussed. Don't you worry about that. Vivekacu is a detailed treatise on this. Everything will be covered. They become specific qualifications. So the previous qualifications are general, intellectual qualifications. Then we will add other qualifications, emotional qualification, character, being religious. An atheist can also be intellectually sharp. A crook, very sharp, intellectually. But such an atheist or a crook cannot be said to be qualified for. Therefore, every Vedantic student must be intelligent, but every intellectual need not be fit for Vedanta. In addition to the intellectual acquisition or accomplishment, you should also be a devotee, a religious person, a moral person, emotionally healthy person. Therefore, he says, some specific qualifications should also be there. Qualifications should be there. And what are they? That is said in the next verse. Let us read verse 17. Vivekino viraktasya Vivekino viraktasya Shamadi gunashalinah Shamadi gunashalinah Mumukshoreva hi brahma Mumukshoreva hi brahma Jignasa yogyatamata Jignasa yogyatamata Vivekino viraktasya Shamadi gunashalinah Mumukshoreva hi brahma Jignasa yogyatamata. So here is a summary of the fourfold qualification. The special, very specific qualifications apart from the general qualifications that we talked about. Again, this is a mere summary. Elaboration will come later. So he says, Vivekinaha viraktasya shamadi gunashalinaha mumukshoho. Four things are mentioned. Number one, he must be a viveki, must have discrimination, ability to separate. Then viraktasya, he must have dispassion, he must have detachment. He cannot have craving for the worldly things. Craving for worldly things all the time should not be. Shamadi gunashalinah, he must be endowed with shama, etc. What we call sixfold inner qualifications, inner wealth, inner virtues. What they are, we will see. Like Shamadi, Shama means mastery of the mind. So mastery of the mind, etc. Mind, then the body, withdrawing from the sense objects, so on and so forth. We will see all that. All these put together is the inner wealth. By stressing the inner wealth, the Upanishad is saying that it is not bothered about your external wealth. External things, not a criteria. Physical body, we don't worry about that. We don't care whether you are a man or a woman, male or a female. No. Doesn't matter whether you are a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Those are all external things. We don't care whether you are a Grihastha, Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, Sannyasi. Vedanta doesn't worry about those things. Vedanta just asks a question. What are your inner possessions? What is your inner wealth? That is important. That is the third qualification. Then the fourth qualification is mumukshutvam. He must have an intense desire for inner freedom. That desire should be intense. Only intense desire will be implemented. You want it bad. Other casual desires, if it is lukewarm, it won't stick with you. It'll be lost. Do we work on all of them? No. It'll be fleeting, it'll go away. So, Tivra Mumukshuta should be there. That then only we will work on it. We'll put them, we'll implement them. Therefore, Mumukshuhu means the one who has an intense desire for liberation, for inner freedom. This has to be a top priority in life. For a person who has discrimination, dispassion, inner wealth, and desire for liberation, for such a person alone, is yogyata mata, is considered. Such a person alone is considered to be eligible for this knowledge. He alone is fit for Brahma Jignasa, for inquiry into Brahman, for Brahma Vichara, Atma Vichara. Only such a person has the desire to know the nature of Brahman with 4 qualification mentioned. He becomes capable of fulfilling that desire, reaching that goal. Now, when you hear all this, you begin to doubt. Nobody comes with that perfect sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. I don't have all that in full measure. Perfect sadhana chatushtaya sampatti is an ideal situation. Nobody is perfectly qualified. That is true. And if somebody is qualified like that, he's already liberated. I tell you that. We have some qualification. To some extent, it is there. I will very boldly say that you all have that amount of qualification. That is why you are here. Otherwise, you won't even be here. We've already talked about how rare it is to have this desire. Therefore, remember, Ishvara Anugrahadeva Pumsam Advaita Vasana. Even if there is a little bit of curiosity, even if there is a testing mind or at least some casual interest, even that requires some amount of qualification. That qualification is enough to get started. The beauty is the Vedantic study is capable of giving 2 things. For a well-qualified person, it will give the wisdom. For the unqualified person, it will give the qualification. Then he can proceed. That's the beauty. So the general qualifications are the ability to learn and retain what is learned, to think and analyze, evaluate pros and cons, retain what is necessary, discard what is not. With all these things, what you need is to develop Viveka, Vairagya, Shamadhi, Sampatti, Mumukshutvam. This order has been kept because it is a logical flow. First is Viveka, discrimination, where you separate the real from the unreal. You separate the permanent from the impermanent. So you should have the capacity to do that. And once you do that, then you also should have the capacity to drop what is not real, what is impermanent, and that ability is called Vairagya. Vairagya. Then you should be able to control the mind, the senses, withdraw from sense objects. So all this naturally flows next. With all that, mumukshutvam will grow in intensity. Then you are qualified to know that Brahman. Remember, you don't have to have 100% of all these to start on the path of inquiry. As I mentioned earlier, all of us have what is necessary to. So, what we need to do is to continue on the path. We should be steadfast in this journey. Therefore, come to the next class. Don't think you are not qualified. You are qualified. Let us continue this journey together. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.